So it's going to be again instead of that. Welcome. As you can see, I'm at my office. So this is the studio as a TV. I'm really excited. Yesterday we have a number of pickups because there are some tech issue, some screen sharing issue, but we managed to fix that today. So it's couldn't happen. And it was a lot of very small house today. Of course, we're going to start now. But cool. As usual, we're going to start showing the numbers here. Yesterday, I only managed to do 10 minutes show, but I gave you guys a gist because I talked about resistance, the major resistance, and also major contention, essentially needed one day. So, of course, we're going to pop into a right now. So, yeah, my screen now. So, and it's Bitcoin, let's pop on to our chart. So, on the
Outly yesterday, basically we talk about this range, like we were trading. Again, are we sharing the screen already? Okay, I see it now. Okay.
So just make sure it's movie. So again, for the hourly chart, started on the short time frame. Yesterday, we're trading
within this range, so 114 to 115. Like people were saying that okay, we might be out of the wood yet, but I was saying like there is bearish divergence forming on the hour side, especially okay. Yesterday when we started the stream, we were like breaking down of the hour side a little bit, so we can see that the upward trend on the hour side, but we breaking out of the upward trend, which is again a very bearish sign, a bearish signal for Bitcoin. I'm talking about on the hourly time frame, so on a short-term time frame. So what happened after the basically 10-minute live stream is that okay, for the fiat VP, so for the volume side of things, what the volume is telling us is that we have strong support around 111 to 112. So what I could do right now is actually draw the rectangle box. Bear with me because I'm still playing around with the mouse that I use. I'm not very used to it. So we are essentially still trading within this rectangle. We are seeing huge support and resistance. So VRVP is telling us that there is basically so much trading data around this region. So we are not out of the wood yet, especially we broken out of the rising momentum for the hour side. So we might be, what we're saying is that on the lower time frame, we might actually go back and retest the very painfully retest 102K or 101K. Like, okay, I'm not being the ultimate bear here. Like some people will be like, oh, Jenny, why are you being so bearish? But like, in order for me to be bullish, basically we need to use 112K actually like as a support, because okay, the hourly we haven't actually closed yet. Okay, there are one hourly we touch, like we go inside and we close inside this region, and then there's the second hourly candle is actually trading inside this region. This hour, of course, we haven't closed yet. We're just starting out this hourly candle. So let's see if we manage to actually maybe trade a hourly chart, how hourly candle actually trade about 112 this region, because this is really critical. Otherwise, like okay, we could just like trade inside, and most of that is just noise. And again, like prior support is going to be our feature support as well. Prior resistance is going to be our feature resistance or feature support. That's how support and resistance work. So this is what I'm eyeing on the hourly. So we need to okay, let me also draw the trend line. It's a little bit confusing right now because bear with me, things are a little bit hectic. So one thing I saw on the hourly is that we need to break out of the downward trend. So if we zoom all the way out, so let's go back to 126K, which is the all-time high. Again, like if you guys were watching our live stream last week, like basically like 10 days ago or something, when we reached 126K, I was talking about recession. I mean, talking about a correction. Sorry, that's a scary word, but a correction is that. So we were talking about a correction. Of course, I didn't predict the future. Like, I didn't know that Bitcoin would crash to 102K or like 101K on some exchanges. Like, that's some crazy stuff. And there is so much market manipulation going on. I'm sure there's no argument there. We're going to get into the news about who basically we have speculation who's controlling the market. We're going to get into the news analysis in a bit. But like, the reason why I was talking about a correction, even when Bitcoin was like reaching its all-time high of 126K, is that we are seeing this like downward trend forming. So for me to be bullish on the hourly, on the short time frame, is that we need to break above this downtrend. Like right now, we are not even close. Like if we go to the percentage, again, the mouse is a little bit annoying. So there is like essentially like a 6% difference. Like Bitcoin need to pump another 6% just to reach the downtrend, just to reach the downward movement. So this is on the hourly. Let's also build on the case. So slowly move on to the daily chart. So we are jumping from the short time frame slowly to the longer time frame. So on the daily, what I'm seeing right here, let me remove this, like actually maybe just remove all the drawings because it's very confusing here. So one thing I'm seeing on the daily candles is that we are having higher lows. So today, this daily candle is very important. Let's see if we manage to hold above this basically rising support line. If not, again, that is not a bullish sign. This is not what we want to see on the daily. So again, if we lose that, then 101 or 102K is still on the table. This is on the shorter time frame, so both on the hourly and also on the daily. Let's also hop onto the weekly now. So if I like basically, should we still be bullish? Have we topped right now? So one question people are discussing on Twitter a lot is that exactly on 6th of October, we saw a cycle top. I mean, we only know this on hindsight. Maybe it's a local top, maybe it's a cycle top. But if we use Bitcoin 4-year cycle, then we got basically 64 days to get the cycle top. So how we get to this state? How did we know that 6th of October is maybe we're going to have a cycle top? Let's also hop on to the time frame, so weekly time frame. If you could share my screen, that would be great. So we are essentially looking at the weekly time frame, so longer time frame. How we got the 6th of October is that if we measure, we again on the log scale. So if we take the cycle bottom to the cycle top, the magic number we got is 1,064 days. So this is so interesting because Bitcoin has done that for basically the prior 3 cycles. If we apply the same number, so 1,064 days, and if we use that on the cycle bottom, which we saw back in November 2022, so if we stretch that out to 1,064 days, we'll essentially get 6th of October. So that's why people on Twitter basically flooding. And it looks like, it does feel like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy because exactly on the 6th of October, we got the cycle top. We got 126K as the all-time high. So that's very interesting. But there are actually different ways of measuring the cycle top, I would say, because this is just one way. And I personally, okay, if you ask my take, I do not believe that we have already seen the cycle top. But okay, the reason why I would come up with this claim is that, okay, if we use a different measure, so if we take the cycle top to cycle top, so if the cycle top back in November 2013 to, okay, in December, okay, late December, so December 2017 and also November 2021, then we will essentially get a completely different numbers. I mean, we still get like 1,400 something days, but let's take a look. So let me zoom closer. So for the first cycle, we got 1,477 days. This is the first cycle. And then second one, we got like 14 days. And then maybe this cycle, we might get what we saw back in 2013. So maybe 1477, something like that. Because like initially, even if you ask me in the beginning of this year, so in the beginning, okay, 2025, when we just started 2025, I was telling my community that I kind of expected to see a cycle top in late November or early December, because I do not think that exactly the 1,064 days play out. The reason why, when I do my own analysis, I do TA, the reason why I do this, okay, some people like to focus only on TA, only on the charts. But I think that there might be not as comprehensive. So that's why I like to add in the news analysis as well. So I know narratives follow price, but what I'm seeing, okay, both on chain, like none of the indicators are telling us that we have seen a cycle top. We are, okay, we haven't prepared any on chain today, but we prepare on chain maybe like 2 or 3 times every single week on Roxham TV. So I've covered that extensively on Roxham TV and also on Gem Crypto. So we're gonna look at some on tomorrow because today we're actually running out of time. But both, okay, on chain and news analysis, what we know right now is that the macro scene, the US, there's only room for rate cuts right now. So rate cuts, of course, that means global liquidity is unlocking. So there is not much reason for me to think that exactly the 6th of October, which is last week, was already the cycle top. And none of that is basically making any sense. Of course, we know that in hindsight, and never say never, right? But if you ask me, I'm already being very cautious. So Q4 2025, we might see a cycle top, though I don't think it has happened already because none of the on-chain is telling us that we have seen a cycle top. Well, based on what happened basically after 126K and there's like a market crash, I would say it's more like a one-time incident. There's so much market manipulation going on. Basically, that incident was to flush out all the excessive leverage in the market, and there is like more than $19 billion being liquidated. Is bigger crash than FTX and is a bigger crash than Luna, basically, and COVID, like everything combined. So that's how crazy the whole thing is. And if you look at some altcoins, like Sui dropped like 85% in a matter of like few minutes candle. So that is not normal because, again, I know crypto can be very volatile, but manipulation like this is, I think whoever created this market crash deserved to be rot in jail for the rest of his life. We talked about that yesterday. Like one person actually took his life because he died in his Lamborghini. He owed a lot of like investors' money, so looks like he took his own life. But there's still some investigation going on. But anyways, like some of my friends, they were heavily into leverage. Uh, they were pulling a healthy leverage, maybe like 1.5x. So it wasn't crazy, it wasn't degen, yet they still got wiped out. So one story that we learn from this is that if you are not advanced traders, like even very advanced traders got wiped out. So Machi brother being one of them. And of course, there are a few more cases like the white whale, etc. So anyways, if especially during the volatility like this, just try to stay away from leverage for now on at the very least. So that's the TA we want to look at today. Let's also hop on to some of the basically the news analysis. I do want to talk more about geopolitics starting from now on, because the reason why I want to have this switch instead of focus so much on the micro cap or the altcoins market is that, okay, we know Bitcoin is maturing. We know that Bitcoin is becoming a basically digital gold. So institutions are getting in. So it makes sense to look more at the geopolitics news instead of the very local news. Okay, we're gonna look at that as well. But like I think it makes sense to add that section into our full analysis. Okay, so what's happening right now? One thing very interesting is the US versus China. And so the US China tensions over rare earth elements, so REE, have flared but show temporary signs of easing. So exactly on 9th of October, which is just like a few days ago, China expanded export controls to 12 so 12 rare earth elements, tightening choke points in US defense, AI and tech, and green energy supply chains. In response, Donald Trump threatened 100% tariffs on exactly 10th of October, sparking a $2 trillion market crash. But just days later, on 13th of October, so just yesterday, Donald Trump was like, he really softened his tone and assuring it'll be fine. That is a really funny meme I found on Twitter. So look at this. So of course that's like it's AI, but like this is Baron Trump, and then we have Donald Trump here. So Baron Trump was like, I'm up $19 million on that short. Time to go long. Can you tweet again? So Donald Trump was like, don't worry about China. It will all be fine. Xi Jinping just had a bad day, like that moment. That's all. So that's very, very interesting. The reason why I would say there's so much market manipulation going on is that, okay, we have a crash, brought Bitcoin down to 101K. But on Hyperliquid, since everything is transparent, it's a fully decentralized exchange, we could see the order book. What we saw is that 30 minutes before the market crash, before Donald Trump tweeted that out, basically posted that out on Truth Social, we saw that there's this new wallet on Hyperliquid pull a massive short. So people are guessing it might be from the Trump family. Of course, it's just speculation. But one thing for sure is that the Trump family has been getting really good deal flows for sure. And they have benefited massively from regulations like crypto, or maybe even events like this, or maybe just like friends and next to very basically inner circle of Donald Trump. But okay, let's come back to the rare earth situation. So China controls like 70% of the global rare earth mining and also 90% of processing, giving it basically unmatched leverage. While the US has begun ramping domestic production, it could take like 5 to 10 years to reach independence. So yeah, let me give you some more like latest developments about China. Basically, why this happened and why Donald Trump all of a sudden is saying, okay, percent tariff. So on 9th of October, there was announcement from China to expand restrictions to 12 out of 17 so 12 out of 17 rare earths. Any product with as little as 0.1% rare earth content now requires approval, directly hitting US defense and chip supply. And Donald Trump, of course, he retaliated. He then announced a 100% tariffs on all Chinese imports, starting from 1st of November, calling China's like, okay, sinister, basically, why are you doing this? So US stock plunged like $2 trillion and for crypto, it raised at least $19 billion from the liquidation. I think the official number, like the actual number, is actually 10x more because centralized exchanges are not reporting it. But at least the official number we're getting is 19 billion. All right. So after that, we are seeing a reversal tone shift from Donald Trump because on the 13th of October, he was saying that, okay, Xi Jinping is just having a bad day, having a bad moment, and of course, markets rebound. There is so much market manipulation going on. One thing I wish is that if the law could apply to every single one on earth, that would be great. However, it looks like the law doesn't apply to powerful or extremely wealthy people. So that's interesting. And then China today came out literally just like 19 hours ago saying that, okay, US having a double standard over the tariff threats. So one thing I find it very interesting, like why is the rare earth being so important? Why it matters so much? Because okay, there are for rare earths, there are basically what is rare earths? There are 17 elements, so buried in the earth's crust. So the rare earths are sometimes broken into light and heavy groups. Light ones have lower atomic numbers and they are more abundant in Earth's crust. Heavy rare earths are less abundant and more challenging to extract, which is why they are very valuable and used for specialized applications. They are used in clean energy, in defense, in electronics, and other industries. So that's why China has all the cards right now. China has been building their rare earth and processing for years, basically for decades, and the West is just starting to get in right now. So that's the cards China holds. But again, okay, right now we kind of have to take a little break. We're gonna get back into the China dominance and why basically I think China have the odds of winning even against the West, even against the US. But okay, we're gonna get in after the break. I'll see you guys in 3 minutes later.
Security matters. Zappo Bank, the only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
So, tell us about your furry friend here. What's his name?
Oh, this? This is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
It's not just a cat, he's family.
Quite a name, and I must say, looks quite pampered.
Oh, absolutely. Bitcoin deserves nothing but the best. He's my little prince.
But with such a valuable pet, aren't you afraid of losing him?
Losing Bitcoin? No, it never happened before, so it's not something I worry about. Excuse me for a moment. Bitcoin, stay here, right?
Bitcoin, no! Bitcoin, come on, little buddy, Bitcoin, I need you. Don't go.
All right, guys, welcome back again. As we were talking about rare earths in China, like, why do I think China? Take a look at some numbers, because as you know me, I'm a big number girl. So, like, look at this list. So, top producers of rare earths around the whole world. Of course, China is being number one because it controls more than 44%. So, between 44 to 49% of world total production. And around 70% of global mining output, more than 90% of refining, so processing, happens in China. So take a look at this. So annual production around 270,000 metric tons, and known reserves 44 million metric tons. So China controls most of the rare earths compared to all. Second one being US, so annual production is 45,000 metric tons. Known reserves is 1.8 million metric tons. Like that is like a huge number difference, as you can see. Well, and China, they have more advantage against US, I would say. The reason why I would say this, because they built all the processing, since 1990s. So decades ago, with subsidies, with environmental rules, and with actually specialized university just specialized in rare earths, minerals and stuff. So US, they have a lot of catching up time to do, in my opinion. And people actually did some calculations. So right now, US imports 70 to 100% critical rare earths. In 2024 alone, $117 million of imports, especially with some heavy reefs, like as we talk about, which is even more rare. And US, they have their own strategy. So they have like a $500 million program for domestic processing. They are doing like basically alliance with other countries. Because like if you take a look at this, the second one is US, and then the third one is actually Australia. And then we have Thailand, we have Vietnam. Surprisingly, they have a lot of known reserves, and Brazil. So for the US strategy right now is that they're gonna basically be the ally with Australia, with Canada, with Brazil. But the timeline that we're looking here, we are saying 5 to 10 years for meaningful independence. So yeah, I mean, that's the goal. US got a lot of catching up to do, not gonna lie. And some people would ask this question, like, can you replace rare earth? Like, why is it so important? I'm sure there's some other minerals could replace it. Of course, there are some alternatives. So based on AI, like what Google say, I mean, I'm not a chemistry expert by all means, but like what AI say is that while no single material can fully replace rare earth elements across all applications, like there are some substances, maybe like magnet composition, like iron nitrate, something like that. It exists, but lack efficiency and it lack durability. Substitutes can replace some applications, but no full-scale replacement exists just yet right now. So that's the card China is holding, I would say. And without rare earth, that is a huge impact on AI, on tech, on AI chips, because even AI chips rely heavily on those like rare-based, like rare earths, because there's the part of the components of those GPU. And of course, like EV and clean energy, like wind turbines, they require rare earth as well. Basically, everything electronic requires rare earths. So yeah, I would say good luck to the US to catch up when it comes to the rare earth, both production and processing, and also finding out the known reserves. But one thing we know, because I was talking about market manipulation and how basically the Trump family is getting great deal flows. Let's just put it that way. So just read this title. So rare earth stocks surge on US trade dispute over critical minerals. The reason why I'll say this is that, okay, we know that the market crash on 10th of October, so just 3 days ago, there's a heavy insider trading. Everything is shown on Hyperliquid because it's decentralized order book. We could see everything. So there's a very shady move. Like the person, it has to be inner circle of the Trump family to pull moves like this, or basically work with Donald Trump himself. So that's one. And then the second one is actually, so the Trump family, so Donald Trump, they have $400 million stake in MP materials, which is rare earth mining. And it doubled this year. That's maybe another strategic positioning. Let's just put it that way. Very strategic. Okay, one credit I'll give Donald Trump is that he can really stop wars. And since we are talking about geopolitics, of course, we have to mention the ceasefire deal because that is a historical moment. So phase one ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas was signed in Egypt with, of course, like Donald Trump brokering the talks. The agreement led to the release of all remaining Israeli hostages, so around 20 people in exchange for about 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. A ceasefire is officially in effect, so Israeli forces have begun a partial withdrawal from Gaza, and some humanitarian aid is finally flowing in. So finally, but let's be clear, this is not the end of the war. It's just the first step of a longer peace plan still to come. The really tough issues, so whether Hamas will disarm, who will govern Gaza long term, and if this leads to wider Palestinian statehood talk. So for now, what we know is that Israel would get the hostages back and some security guarantees. Hamas gonna get the prisoner release and aid, and the U.S. of course Donald Trump is gonna get the credit as the peacemaker. So if you guys didn't know, of course, like the war broke out 2 years ago. It happened on 7th of October, so October again, back in 2023. But like the conflict between Israel and Palestine actually go way back, so over 100 years back. Because of this, they have killed, so Israel have killed over 42,000 Palestinian. This is at least the official number we got. I think the actual number is actually a lot bigger than just 42,000, but we just stick with that because that is the official, right? So by late 2024, Donald Trump have re-elected and pushed for what he called the ultimate Middle East peace deal. That effort has now produced this like first stage ceasefire. So how Donald Trump became the peacemaker. So basically in September 2025, so just last month, Donald Trump unveils this like 20-point peace plan. And we have phase one signed in Egypt with Donald Trump and also with Egypt and France and others. Hamas didn't officially sign but agree in practice. And exactly on 14th of October, so today, there's like 8 trucks finally enter Gaza. Displaced families start returning and phase 2 talks officially begin. So what's happening right now is that in place since 13th of October, like no major bombings or new ground fighting reported. There might be some small violation, but we'll let it go because it's not like a very, very serious issue. So we're just not going to talk about that right now. And then what they got in return is that they have hostages and a temporary council will start running Gaza. Trump is saying that he deserves to be like chairing the board of peace to oversee progress. So I'll say, my guess is both sides were fatigued by the 2-year war because it's very tiring. Like at least with this deal, each side would get something in return. So Israel would get the hostages back, and they have really destroyed Hamas military power. What they claim is that there's a reduction of around 50 to 70% in terms of the military power. for Hamas. And then they're going to continue control over security zones for now. That's for Israel. As for Hamas, what they get in return, of course, a key release of the prisoners. More than 2,000 prisoners are released, and they get the military. They get the humanitarian aid and also the reconstruction funds as well. So that's what they're getting. They're trying to rebuild Gaza again. As for Donald Trump, the U.S. is being seen as the major foreign policy win, and they earn the global spotlight. So I'll give Donald Trump that. He also did strengthen ties with Qatar, with Egypt, with Turkey, and he openly hinted at a Nobel Prize potential. So good luck, Donald Trump. But okay, as for the market reaction, what we saw based on this news, like this ceasefire, is that there's like a chill, like oil prices coming down. So oil price dropped down to $64 per barrel. That is the Brent crude oil price, and then there's like further easing inflation worries as well. So again, we are eyeing on this news very extensively. Of course, there's still risk. Like if they're not playing along, like the ceasefire is short term, but like long term, there's still bigger issues like West Bank settlements or like Palestinian statehood. Like until those are tackled, like we are not completely out of the wood yet. But as for now, we have something to celebrate in the short term. So that's good, because I hate seeing wars in this news. I think it's extremely stupid. All right, so more geopolitical news, and also about France, because this is I would say, I don't understand why France is in such a distress right now. So France is now facing its worst political crisis since the 1950s. The chaos started after President Macron called snap parliamentary elections back in July this year, hoping to strengthen his party, but instead it backfired. No party won a clear majority, leaving France with a hung parliament right now. So just a few days ago, on 10th of October, Macron reappointed the prime minister, Sebastian Lecornu, as the prime minister, even after accepting his resignation days earlier. So he has been the prime minister for 20-something days, and then he resigned. That's very interesting. Okay. A new cabinet was announced on 12th of October, but both the far left and far right are preparing no confidence votes to topple the government. Macron insists he will remain president until 2027, but his ability to govern is badly weakened, I would say. The most urgent issue, which is passing the 2026 budget before year end. If Parliament fails, automatic tax hikes will hit French households and businesses. Markets are already shaky. Like the French stocks, they are on a free downfall as well. So if you take a look at this news, so French assets sink amid growing fears of political paralysis. So French markets tumble after the resignation of prime minister, threw the country into another political crisis. So the market reaction was very huge. So French bonds fell, with 10-year yields jumping as much as 11 basis points to 3.61%, pushing the premium that investors demanded to hold French debt over Germany to the highest level this year. And also the stock market, so CAC 40 index lost like 1.4%. And the euro, take a look at euro. So euro against the US dollar is, again, if you take a look at the past month performance, it's not doing so good, is it? So that's the issue the French is dealing with. Again, like stuff like this. For Bitcoin investors, this is a reminder that traditional currencies can be fragile, and BTC often becomes a hedge during political instability like this. And if you guys are not very familiar with the French system, the whole France system. So basically, France is a semi-presidential republic. That means they have president, they have their prime minister. So unlike the US, France has many political parties because no party won a majority in July 2025, so just a few months ago. Macron has to navigate constant compromises or otherwise face collapse. On the street right now, like there are protests. So protests in Paris just a few days ago between 11 to 12. So 2 days ago, demanded Macron's resignation. Critics call his cabinet basically a zombie government. And I mean, looking at the market and looking at euro, how it's even weakened against the USD, I wouldn't be surprised why the French citizens are so unhappy. So markets hate uncertainty, like seeing stuff like this, like bonds rising and also the euro dollar, the euro currency. So if no confident votes succeed, French could slide. So the equities, the market, French market, could slide another maybe 5 to 10%, and the euro could fall even further. So as for Bitcoin investor, so for this highlights why Bitcoin matters, I would say. Euro is extremely shaky. BTC is non-sovereign asset and immune to national politics. And BTC is also a hedge against the government. So same thing kind of happened back in 2015, like Greece. So EU is going through a crisis like this. It's not only the French, but like a lot of countries in Europe is not doing so great right now. I would say like it's funny to see how the Western media kind of portray that China is in a really weak economy, is just like at the brink of collapse like that. But when you look at the EU, I don't know, call me biased, but like so far it looks like US has a really strong economy, and Europe looks like in the developed world, it looks like they have the weakest economy, I would say. They are in a lot of distress. So if France crisis deepens, it could add fuel to Bitcoin hash narrative. Like even if short-term volatility could hurt like both stocks and crypto. All right, so that's what EU is doing. That's what France is doing. Let's also hop on to the hard asset. Like, what's the reaction of hard asset? Like, if you look at stuff like this, gold price keeps breaking new all-time high. It's about 4,000, so 4,100. That's crazy, reaching 4,200. Of course, this is like safe haven asset. People are demanding a safe haven asset apart from the fiat currency. Like in the meanwhile, we know what happened just a few days ago. Crypto experienced the worst crash ever, like $19 billion in liquidation in a single day. So I would say the trigger for gold consistently breaking new all-time high is the escalating US versus China tariff tension. So for the world, there's like a hidden force, so between the West and also between the East, I would say. There's also global geopolitical stress. So it makes sense for people to rush to asset like gold, while like over leveraged crypto traders got completely wiped out, of course. So let's take a look at gold. Like, what are the key drivers? So first of all, as we talk about the Middle East, like Middle East conflicts, we just look at France, like the whole Europe is not doing so well. We look at tariffs. So that's one. People are demanding a safe haven asset. Second reason I would say is actually rate cuts. So we know the US is going to cut rates, and people are pricing in to, let me go to the prediction right now. So as for this year, we are predicting that we're going to get a 25 basis point cut exactly on 29th this month. So people are pricing in this, and then there will be another rate cut. Let's say, so 94% of people are predicting that we're going to get a 25 basis point cut in December, so exactly on 10th of December. So a rate cut, what it means is that basically it will weaken the US dollar, so making gold a lot more attractive. Like, it doesn't take a genius to work out that, right? So that's reason number 2. And also reason number 3 is that central banks around the world are really accelerating when it comes to buying gold, especially from the BRICS countries. So BRICS stands for like Brazil, Russia, India, and China. And of course, like a lot more countries are entering the BRICS. So what we're seeing the trend is that all these like BRICS countries, central banks around the world, they are stacking up the gold instead of US bonds. So that's an interesting play out. People are like countries around the world, especially from the East, are really working towards that de-dollarization narratives. So that's reason number 3. And then the 4th driver that I could think of is actually inflation hedge. So global inflation right now is about 4.4%. So it makes sense. People see that, okay, is a hedge against inflation. Of course, like people like Peter Schiff recently, he was very bearish on Bitcoin. Like until now, I think he's still very bearish. But like, okay, gold is doing well in terms of the year to date. But like, if you compare to Bitcoin, okay, year to date is not maybe less than, okay, we only have like 90% year to date. But if you zoom out, okay, go to max, or even it doesn't have to go to max, just like 5 years, we did like 884%. So I think, again, like drawing back to the TA or the analysis that we did today, is that it looks like it's a one-time incident, is full of market manipulation. Like, I know crypto is volatile, but like altcoins like Sui dropping 85% in within an hourly candle, this is not usual stuff. It's just like full of manipulation. All right, so that's pretty much all we want to talk about in today's live stream. But like, final call to action is make sure to follow us on Twitter. So my Twitter is jamjamcrypto_io. So if you want more like constant updates from me, because like, okay, I do show Monday to Friday 4 a.m. Eastern time with Roxanne. But like, other than that, if they're like constant updates, I want my community to know right at that instant. The best way for me, like the easiest way for me to do it is of course through Twitter. And of course, like, follow Roxanne TV. We are going live right now. Of course, we have to hit that like button, and we have like constant updates about Bitcoin, about geopolitics, and also like random stuff. So silver while hitting new all-time high. So anyways, that's pretty much all I want to cover today. Thank you so much, because like, I see the live chat is being really active. I'm seeing Anita Chu. Thanks for coming back. I'm in alt now, so good luck to you. Let me know what altcoins you're buying. Of course, like Bam Bam Crypto, been trading between BTC and it's like ISO 2022 pairs. Been doing very well, growing my back. So good for you. So thank you so much for watching. Of course, like same time tomorrow, 4 a.m. Eastern time. Like, if you guys don't manage to watch the live stream, I mean, it's okay, because my time zone is a little bit weird. I'm based in Hong Kong, but like, I'll really appreciate if you could watch the playback. So anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.